forest once covered much of western North America. During the late Cretaceous period,
it moved slowly, like all large animals. This forest was not a backdrop. It was the animal's home. Water shaped movement and gathered life. It stopped, sensing its surroundings. Drinking was careful and deliberate. After drinking, awareness returned. Water met a need. The forest remained home. In the forest, listening mattered. Every movement conserved energy. Most of its day was not spent hunting. It was spent conserving energy. This movement was routine, a path shaped by habit. For animals of this size, rest did not mean sleep. It meant standing still for long stretches. Nothing changed, and that was normal. Even the smallest movements served a purpose. Nothing was wasted. Feeding did not begin with pursuit. It began with attention. Smell mattered, even at a distance, especially here. It did not need to see prey. The ground already told the story, came from evidence, not instinct alone. Open ground changed the equation. Visibility increased. So did risk. Not every opportunity was worth the cost. Distance mattered. So did effort. Not every hunt was taken. Walking away was often the smarter choice. Finding food was often about positioning, not speed. Some signs were recent, and that changed things. Once a direction was chosen, energy followed. As the terrain closed in, movement became more deliberate. In close terrain, information travels slowly. Stillness is often the loudest signal. A change in the wind can rewrite the entire hunt. One step is enough to confirm direction. It doesn't rush. Energy decides survival. Movement comes last, only when the choice is clear. The ground matters. Every step costs energy. Prey reveals itself without being seen. Movement always speaks. It uses the land, not speed. Open ground changes the rules. Every move is visible. Smell travels farther than sound, and it decides direction. The wind decides the path, not instinct alone.
Crossing open ground is a calculation, not a charge.
Distance keeps decisions open. Closer is not always better. Waiting is part of the hunt. So is restraint. Behavior reveals risk. Awareness matters. A hunt begins with options, not action. Caution preserves opportunity. Energy is never wasted. Distance closes slowly. Awareness stays wide. Cover is never constant. Neither is opportunity. Small adjustments matter. They decide what comes next. Movement returns, only when the ground allows it. Clarity doesn't demand speed. It demands patience. Movement reveals intention, and intention reveals weakness. Decisions form quietly, before movement begins. Openings appear, before intention. The hunt doesn't begin with speed. It begins with control. Every step is calculated. Energy is precious, even for the largest hunter. This is not speed. This is positioning. The pause matters, because once it moves again, the choice is already made. It does not rush. Energy is preserved until it must be spent. The landscape opens, and with it, opportunity. Position matters more than speed. The terrain decides what can be seen. Scent moves with the air. Distance decides the rest. Small adjustments reduce large risks. Now, it commits to the approach. Distance is not guessed. It is felt. Awareness arrives without certainty. Being seen is not required. Every hunt has a distance, where error becomes possible, reveals intent. Retreat does not mean escape, only awareness. Not every opportunity is worth the cost. The hunt ends without conflict. Most of its life is lived this way. Even alone, it is never truly isolated.
Territory is not claimed. It is remembered.
Not every movement is driven by hunger. Some are simply. The forest is not a boundary. It is memory, shelter, and rhythm. Inside the forest, light does not disappear. It adapts. For large predators, forests are not obstacles. They are corridors.
Territory is not always defended. Sometimes it is simply remembered.
For most of its life, Tyrannosaurus lives alone, not isolated. Large predators do not need company. They need space. At certain times, the environment changes. So does behavior. For large predators, mating is rare. It happens quickly. Energy is limited. Parenting leaves few traces. Most of it happens out of sight. We do not see care in the fossil record, but we see the conditions where care could happen. For the young, movement is risk. Survival depends on staying unseen. Not every danger moves. Some are already close and waiting. For animals this large, the environment itself can be the greatest enemy. One injury. Weather shapes survival, long before it becomes a storm. Heat, rain, seasonal change. For large predators, each day follows a pattern. Movement, rest, awareness. After movement comes stillness. Large predators do not remain active without reason. As light fades, awareness remains. Rest does not mean vulnerability. It means readiness. This is not a story of monsters. It is a story of animals, living, adapting,